Canto 30. Summary. It is the hour before dawn on earth when the stars begin to disappear, one by one, and the sky brightens with the coming day. The poet conjures this image to give some sense of what he saw as the individual angelic lights that danced around the point begin to disappear, not into darkness, but into an increasing light. Dante looks at Beatrice, whose beauty has finally surpassed the poet's ability to describe it. She informs him that they have left the prima mobile and are now in the Empyrean, the heaven that is pure light, the heaven that is the very mind and presence of God himself. A flash of light wraps round the pilgrim, momentarily blinding him once more. But Beatrice explains that this is how love welcomes those who have newly arrived at this court. His sight returns, and he realizes he is transcending every human faculty. As he begins to look around, he sees a river formed of light, with living sparks jumping and diving in and out of the water, and the flowers on either side. Beatrice tells him that he is seeing merely the shadowy preface of reality, and to see more clearly he must drink from the stream of light. The pilgrim does so eagerly, and as he rises up he sees the vast rows wherein all the redeemed are seated. Half of the rows contains all the saints from the Old Testament, the other half those who came after Christ. These are two courts of heaven, one side still growing, the other fixed in its number. Dante the poet imagines its appearance as a reflection off the outer convex side of the prima mobile, just as a hill reflects itself in a still lake below. But instead of looking down into the water or down onto the convex side of the outer sphere of the material universe, the pilgrim is looking up at the rising tiers of the rose. Beatrice brings him into the very center, the yellow of the eternal rose, and admires with him its beauty and scale. She then points to an empty seat in which will soon sit, before Dante returns again, the soul of the noble Harry. This is Harry of Luxembourg, who was crowned Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire in 1308. Dante the poet had hoped much good would come from his reign, particularly in terms of the political turmoil in Tuscany, but he died within a few years of receiving the crown. Thus, from the fictional date of 1300, both his reign and his death are foreseen. Beatrice then gives a final denouncement against the corrupt papacy, specifically against Clement V, who would work against Harry. Beatrice foresees that Clement will serve as pope only a short time before he is sent down to the eighth circle of hell, where Nicholas III and Boniface VIII, him from Anagni, will be awaiting him. Canto 30. Prima mobile and Empyrean. Perhaps 6,000 miles away from here burns the 6th hour, and already this world tilts its shadow as to a level bed, when the heavens' expanse deep above us begins to become such that any star loses its appearance here on this floor. And as the brightest handmaid of the sun comes nearer, the heavens close themselves off, even the most beautiful, light by light. Not otherwise did the triumph that sports always around the point that conquered me, seemingly wrapped round by what it wraps round, take itself from view little by little. Wherefore both seeing nothing and love urged me to turn round with my eyes to Beatrice. If how much has been said of her till now were wholly contained in a single praise, little would it seem to serve this moment. Not only does the beauty I beheld transcend our scope, but I truly believe its maker alone enjoys it fully. At this pass I confess myself conquered, more than the comic or tragic poet was ever beat by the point of his theme. For as the sun in eyes that tremble most, so too the memory of that sweet smile takes my mind away from its very self. From the first day seeing her eyes in this life until this most recent sight, my own song has never been cut off from following. But now, following her beauty further in my poetry must come to a halt, as does every artist at his utmost. Thus, as I leave her to a heralding greater than my own trumpet can give her, which draws its heavy matter to a close, with sign and voice of a firm guide, she said, Out from the greatest body we have come into the heaven that is of pure light, light intellectual and full of love, love of true good and full of great delight, delight transcending every pleasantness. Here you will see the one and other troop of paradise, and one with that same face that in the final judgment you will see. Like a sudden flash of light that scatters the spirit of sight, such that it deprives the eyes of seeing any object with strength, so too a living light shone around me, and left me swathed in such a covering of its brightness that I could see nothing. The love that always has this heaven stilled receives one into it with such a sign, to make the candle ready for its flame. No sooner had these brief words come to me than I began to understand myself to be rising far above my powers. And I was rekindled with a new sight, such that there is no light so pure and clear that my eyes could not have then handled it. I saw light in the form of a river, tawny in its splendor, between two shores, colored over with a marvelous spring. From such a torrent living sparks leapt forth, and on each side touched down amidst flowers like rubies that are circumscribed by gold. Then, as if ravished by the fragrances, they plunged once more into the wondrous stream, and one came out as another went in. The high desire that stirs and urges you to understand now what it is you see gives greater joy to me the more it swells. But you must drink this water first, before that greater thirst in you is satisfied. So did the sun of my eyes say to me. And then the river and the topazes that enter and go forth, the laughing grass, are darkened prefaces of their true self. Not that these things are in themselves unripe, but all defectiveness is on your side, for you do not yet have such heightened sight. There is no infant that so suddenly plunges with his face turned up toward the milk, should he awake much later than his wont, as I did, to make yet clearer mirrors of my eyes, stooping down into the wave that pours itself that we might be bettered. And as soon as the rim of my eyelids drank of that river, it appeared to me that its length was changed into a circle. Then, as people that have been under masks seem different than before, if they strip off the foreign look in which they disappear, so to me did those flowers and those sparks transform into a greater festival, and I saw both courts of heaven made clear. O splendor of God, by which I beheld the mighty triumph of the true kingdom, grant me power to tell how I saw it. There is a light above that makes visible the Creator to that created being who has peace only in beholding him. It stretches itself into a circle so expansive that its circumference would be too wide a girdle for the sun. Its whole appearance is formed by a ray reflecting off the prima mobile, which takes from this its life and potency. And as in water at its base a hill reflects itself to see itself adorned when it is rich in greens and colored blooms, so, mounting up the light around, I saw reflecting in 1,000 tears, as many of us as have returned there. And if within itself the lowest grade gathers so much light, how great is the length of this rose in all its outer petals! My sight did not lose itself in its breadth, nor in its height, but encompassed the scale and the quality of that happiness. There, near and far, neither add nor subtract, for where God governs without medium, the law of nature has no relevance. To the yellow of the eternal rose, rising in steps, stretching, wafting a scent of praise to the sun who makes all times spring, I, as one who is silent and wishes to speak, was drawn by Beatrice, who said, "Look there, how great the white-robed priory! Behold how far our city wheels around! Behold how full already are our seats, for just a few more people are desired. In that great throne on which you fix your eyes, and for the crown already placed above, before you feast upon this wedding meal, will sit the soul of noble Harry, who, august on earth, to straiten Italy, will come before she is inclined to it. The blind cupidity that charms you all has made you like the infant, who will die for hunger, yet will chase away the nurse. And then the perfect in the court divine will be one who, both clearly and in stealth, will not along the same path walk with him. But he will little be endured by God, within that holy office, and then cast where Simon Magus for his merits lies, and push down deeper him from Anagni.